What's up? My name is Josh Oxendine. I am the lead storyteller here at Hear My Story. In our organization, our mission is to bring hope through storytelling. And a few months ago, I looked out across the landscape of our country and just saw nothing but division. I saw friends, personal friends of mine, close buddies, divided. As I looked racially, economically, diversity, faith-wise, my heart shattered. I've known families and I've known marriages and I've known close friends who've been broken through divide. I'm not one to sort of sit and take steps backwards. I want to take steps forward. And so the whole point of this documentary is to, in some way, open up our minds, open up our hearts, and to look past the disagreements, to find the things that unite us, to find the things that we agree on, to find the middle ground. As a first step, I wanted to not only just have my voice, I wanted to invite one of my close friends who I disagree with on some foundational things to come along this journey as we walk and talk to people, that it wouldn't just be my bias, that it wouldn't just be my narrative, that you can see that we divide on and are divided and disagree on a ton of things. So I invited my friend, Wes Sherwin, to come along. We disagree on a lot of things, as you'll see, but we're able to look past those things and take steps towards a deeper friendship based upon the why, the things we agree on, and the things that unite us.
Hi, my name is Wes Sherwin. My family is unlike the majority. I come from a Jewish heritage, was raised in a Church of God, which is a denomination of Christianity. I have struggled with my faith since I graduated high school. For a long time, I was in a worship band, and there was a moment that was a catalyst. We were doing a sound check. I told the worship leader that I didn't feel anything, that I didn't feel the Holy Spirit. And he said, very in passing, don't worry about it, we're performing, put your hands up. And it was that moment that I realized I am performing. I professionally live stream for hours every day. Those live streams consist of a lot of jokes, a lot of silly times, but my passion lies in humanizing the narrative through a lens of a camera. So when Josh called me and said, hey man, I think you'd be perfect for this story. He believes that the nation is divided and wants to find unity, and I said, yeah, you're right. I agree with you, the nation is divided. And this is something that I feel perfectly prepared for. We're talking about politics, which I worked in a news station for many years and was at the news station during the pandemic, watching stories unfold in real time. Anchors have to retract statements, clarify things, and I got to see what good journalism looked like. I got to see what bad journalism looked like. So it is my obligation as we set out on this journey to find unity, to go in this with an open mind, speak objectively, try to put my own bias to the side. And I think that Josh and I are a perfect pair. You're gonna see us disagree a lot, but you're gonna see moments where I change my mind, and he does too.
So as you can imagine, Wes and I both have biases. We walk in the door with life experiences, education, and different things, some baggage that we're carrying in. And so we wanted to share that with you to be able to understand maybe some of the things that divide us. For me, as I mentioned, my name is Josh. I am obviously white, as you can tell. I am also a husband. My wife's name is Brooke, and together we have 5 daughters. Yeah, so I'm oftentimes tired. I like to say that I'm a minority in a sorority, lots of estrogen flowing into my house. But that makes up me. I am also a pastor by profession. So many of the decisions, my thought process, that is ultimately the foundation of that. I grew up in what I would say as a Christian. Jesus is my Lord and my Savior. And so that is the identity that I am claiming. When I begin to look at things from the political landscape, I would consider myself, when it comes to the issues, I would consider myself conservative. But when to how that plays out philosophically, I would consider myself liberal. So if you're going to find yourself somewhere in that without covering all the different boxes of the beliefs, I would consider myself a pretty moderate conservative. I'm not a fan of the two-party system at all. I don't like to be put in a box, and I think there should be more boxes to be out there. As I mentioned, you're going to find out that my faith drives a lot of things that I do. Understandably, because I'm a pastor. But I also like to think that I'm pretty an open-minded guy. I never want to just be to surround myself with yes men. And so that's the point of this project. And yeah, I hope that in some way you take a step towards unity.
Wes and I are in Times Square. We're going to go around and we're going to ask and poll some people on whether we think that our country is united or divided, and we're going to take it from there. We sort of have a set agenda, but as I mentioned before, I'm sort of excited to sort of ask foreigners their idea of what our country is, because I think it's going to be different than what Americans actually think.
I'm interested to hear how many people think we're united.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
we're going to find out.
We think we're divided. We'll see, though.
We're going to find out.
All right.
Hey, man, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I can? All right. My name is Wes, man. Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you. My name is Steven.
Good to meet you, Steven. Do you believe that we in America, or even in the world, are divided among each other?
I don't think so.
That's beautiful. So then we have unity?
I hope so.
I hope so too. What are some of the main differences right now that we need to accept among ourselves?
Ethnicity, language, and some like behaviors.
His take was interesting. He believed that we are unified, which is such a different expectation here. Let's go talk to Josh. That guy believed that we're not divided.
Oh, really? The foreigner did?
Yeah. The 17-year-old kid from China believed we're not divided. He believes one of the things we can do is he wishes more people learned other languages because he's had to learn languages. And I thought that was brilliant.
That is really cool.
Yeah, I love that.
And stuff like that, but then you actually want to come here yourself to actually see what it's like, because the media is very biased sometimes.
So the whole idea behind this project is we oftentimes focus on the things that divide us rather than unite us,
exactly.
right? And I think one of the big portions is that, and this is in every culture in my opinion, is that we focus on ourselves rather than other people.
Yeah.
Now that's natural, and it's probably in every country it's like that. And so we're trying to go out and trying to show people, one, we believe the country is divided. Even you guys think that,
yeah.
right? But then, hey, what steps can we take towards trying to help unite people? And I think part of that begins with listening to people, with hearing people,
yeah,
with understanding where they're coming from.
Because I think different parts of division come from different places, right? Yeah. There's this sort of like pseudo-religious thing that happens that creates this hatred for LGBTQ and those sort of othering ideas. And a lot of the conversation, I think a lot of it is politicians being able to conflate their political arguments with moral arguments. So they make it sound like everything they're saying is moralistic, and because, I agree with you on this one thing that is purely moralistic, now that means I agree with you on all these other political monetary things, right?
Do you believe that faith is something that divides our country?
I don't think faith inherently divides our country. I think people utilize faith as a way to make bad faith arguments.
Woo! That's fire. I think that one thing I learned from what we just did was when you walk outside, most people are nice to each other.
I agree.
That's beautiful.
That's a beautiful thing. That's one step towards unity.
So agreeing to disagree so far is true.
Yeah, agreed.
I think we should get out of Times Square.
And get it out of a touristy area and
Yeah.
maybe hit up some people on the side
Like
streets.
Central. Do you think that you are able to agree to disagree? I mean,
Oh
y'all,
yeah, but I'm old. Like we've seen a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah, we've seen a lot of, we've seen a lot of this. I grew up in the '60s, so we've seen a lot of this. So we can handle that type of a discussion. I think younger people have a harder time because they haven't lived through these times, so they don't know how to agree to disagree.
And so what are the action steps that we can take? I mean, as the younger generation, myself, like what are the action steps we can take to make sure that we do have a strong perspective and are able to agree to disagree instead of fight with each other?
There's a magazine called Teaching Tolerance, and just reading on that, tolerating other people.
Yeah.
You know, there's
right.
a lot of times we just don't tolerate each other, and we just have never, a lot of people haven't learned how to do that.
We talk to respond, not to listen.
Yes, yeah. If you read the 4 agreements, like you can't take things so
Love
personal.
the 4 agreements.
You know, you
Right.
could say, you could believe in the craziest thing, and I should be able to say, okay, I respect your beliefs, but I still love you, or I still like you, or I don't have to say, oh, I don't like you because you feel that way. You know, it's like
Boundaries don't have to be predicated
Right.
in hate.
Put yourself in really uncomfortable situations. I worked with a Arabic school in Brooklyn. Okay, so I went in there as me, the white blonde lady, monolingual, and just like embraced it, and they embraced me, and it was just it felt so good to my heart.
Or maybe sometimes they'll tell me like, please, you're in America, speak English, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And it's like kind of weird, like I can be here legally and you are even like excluded, like that. So there's like you don't feel like welcoming to be in here that much. Like sometimes I am scared of like speaking Spanish with people, or like when someone hears speaking Spanish, because like the people around, I don't know, sometimes they like don't tell you right now, because maybe it's like more like people are trying to be more open-minded, like that's what they want to do, but they have like other values maybe, so they just like don't say you nothing, but it's like the same, you feel it, like you feel when someone is not happy that you are here. And sometimes there's people that tell you that, like in front, like I have heard that. Also, like when you are in stores or for example in a bus station, and you got different like treatment, like they treat you different as the Americans, because you are like how you look and how you, like where are you from. So that's something that I have noticed. I don't like, it doesn't happen that much right now, but I think because it's like a problem right now, like the people coming from different countries, like I know people doesn't like that, like the Americans don't like Mexicans coming here, because they say it's their land and we are like taking, I don't know, advantage of that.
Here's what I'm thinking, man. You know, we set out on this, and while I believe that our country's divided, I just think that what I'm learning is that just people are divided in general. That this is not necessarily just a national issue, it's a people issue.
I'm learning from today, from talking to a lot of people from a lot of different countries, that I believe it to be an individual thing. And so we're in Central Park right now, wrapping up, talking to people about immigration, about division in this country, and getting some ideas that we could have never thought of before we had the conversation. So we are headed to our next spot to learn more about what people believe in this country. So once we got into New York, pretty easy to realize that in the melting pot, this episode in New York was about immigration, the racial divide, and how we can find unity if we look different and are from different places.
Leaving New York, I am still one that believes that the consensus of people is that our nation is divided. I do think my wheels are turning for sure right now, and I'm looking forward to Philly. We're on our way to Philly, and I like to think that our country was founded in God. There might be others that oppose that idea, and I'm okay with it. But we're heading to Philly, and we're going to concentrate on faith, God in specific, and we're going to ask some questions around that tomorrow.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
Are you going to ask questions about God?
Yeah.
All right. Or lack of God? Or other gods?
Yeah. I'm gonna ask questions definitely about God and what that looks like.
Do you believe in God?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Do you believe in the God I believe in?
No.
We are in Philadelphia, aka
The city of brotherly love.
it's also probably one of the most historic cities in our country, and I think it's a foundation for what we're about to talk about today, which is faith, God, religion, something that you and I disagree on.
Right, it's the primary topic that we disagree on, but we're gonna go around the city today, find out if people believe in God, why they believe in God, and what God they believe in. So I think it's gonna be like 80-20 people believe in God, 80% people believe in God, 20% they don't. What do you think?
I think it's gonna be pretty a split, man. I think a lot of people have some type of faith, specifically towards a divine being, but I also think that people sometimes want to keep that private. So we will see, but I think it's gonna be a pretty even split. We'll see what that looks like. You got a minute where I can ask you a question or two? What's your name?
Marcel.
Marcel?
Yeah.
I'm Josh. Nice to meet you, man. Are you from here?
I am, yeah.
Oh, cool. You a Sixers fan?
I am.
I'm sorry, man. It's all good.
We got some hope.
It's all good. This is Marcel.
What's
This is
going
my
on,
friend
man?
Wes.
Wes, good to meet you.
Yes,
sir. Do you believe in God?
I do.
What God?
Wholeheartedly.
What God do you believe in?
The Father of Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why do you believe in that God?
I've experienced His presence and His goodness, and how I know that is through the text of the Bible and just the accuracy and what the characteristics of who He is and who He's been said to be. I've experienced that, and I haven't always my whole life, so I know the difference from not experiencing it to experiencing it.
Do you feel divided from me?
I don't, not at all.
Do you, because I believe in God,
Yeah.
I don't believe in Christianity.
Okay.
Do you believe I'm going to hell?
It's not my judgment, honestly. I think that there's opportunity for you to be accepted in His, or not even accepted, because I know that's kind of a touchy word, but I just know His grace is limitless. So at any time in your existence in this form, you would be able to experience His eternal peace and happiness. So.
Because I feel, I mean this in the sense of the humanity. Like I feel love for you.
Amen.
I have no problem ever sitting down for a meal with you.
Yeah, awesome.
Do you struggle with that with me?
No, I think that's, I know we don't, I've done that when I was living in the world, and I've had love for people, and it wasn't credited to God. So I just see that as an example of God's love through you, or the seed being planted in you, and however, whether it's parents praying, whether it's friends praying. And honestly, I think that's amazing that you have that in you, and that's an example of God's love.
It's a Christian conference.
Yeah. That's great. No, so I literally thought you guys were a part of it when I'm walking up. I'm like, okay, because I know this is a nationwide thing, so I'm like, all right, people from different nations.
Nice to meet you.
Hopefully you guys stay here for the month here.
Oh, thank you.
What is your name?
Paul.
Paul? I'm Josh. This is Wes. So, question is, do you have a faith? Do you believe in
Yes.
God? Okay.
Yes, I believe.
Okay.
What God do you believe in?
Catholic one, so the Jesus Christ.
All right.
Okay. Why?
Why? Because this is the way how I was brought up, right? And I have no reason to not believe in God, right? So I've seen signs in my life that prove me, like 1, 2, 3. Those are 3 signs, right?
Yeah.
It's something like my wife couldn't have children, right? And I have 3 kids, so.
Okay.
Wow.
Do you
That's what I believe.
Do you believe that that faith or God or religion even divides us as humans? I was going to ask specifically, like in the U.S., like, do you think faith, looking in from as another country, when you look in the United States, do you think faith or God or
I
belief?
don't think that faith divides people. I think that people divide people, right? So the way they interpret the faith and how they tell people to interpret the faith, this is what divides people, right? If you take, for example, Muslims, right, or the Buddhism, there is nothing wrong with the faith, but the way people are being explained how to believe, right? This is what creates all those different issues that we have around the world.
I love that.
What would you say are some things that we can do as a country and as people to help bridge that, help close that gap?
I think everything is related to education, right? Because Like for example, right now we are at the brink of artificial intelligence, right? Majority of people don't believe in artificial intelligence because they do not understand it. And AI already is like 10, 20 times smarter than we are. In a couple of months, it will be like hundreds, thousands of billions times smarter than us, right? So it will be like on a different level. So it will coexist with us. We will not understand it, right? And the same happens with God. So the more we educate people, the more they make their decisions on their own will and their intelligence, right? The better they are, and we can avoid those different kind of radicalism that is getting populated through the fact that simply what you are getting is people who do not have like a guidance internally because they were told to, because they were not smart enough to do this. They are going the way that others who are smart and have their particular purpose do.
People are saying we're divided, but we need to define what division means because there's a lot of unity that we're seeing so far.
Yeah, I think I think we have to define the word divided. I do agree that there have been there are a lot more people that, at least in our polls, that are communicating some sense of willingness to engage in conversation. And I think that whether it be the media, whether it be social media, takes the radicals on both sides and pins them against each other as if that's the majority of the country. And so I think there is some truth to, there is unity there. I think again it goes down to defining what division is and how we're going to define it. I think that the Polish family, Paul specifically addressed it. You know, what it comes down to, it's just people,
right?
And individuals. And so I'm encouraged by the conversations we've had today, and I'm hopeful, to be quite honest with you.
A lot of the division we have is a construct and not an organic division.
Yeah, I think that the idea of social media can be both good and bad. I think there are things there that can connect us, and then I think there's things there that actually are put into place to divide us. There's nothing that's ever going to beat a hug and a handshake and a conversation face to face. But I think that things on social media
and the news
specifically,
media in general,
there's someone at the top trying to pull the strings and get us to further to play off the idea, to further exaggerate said beliefs, to further exaggerate conspiracies, to further exaggerate different things, and they want us, it seems as if, to think that we're divided more than we may actually be.
So here we are in Philadelphia. We're about to roll out of town, and I realized, hey, I want to get a little bit more in depth here in the city. And so I am calling up my buddy. His name is Jeremy. He disagrees with me on in the area of faith, and I'm hoping that it will in some way bring a little bit more, our relationship will bring a little bit more unity to what we're trying to do in this project. We're just in the outskirts of Philadelphia, and I'm sitting here with my close friend and kid that I've invested and poured into. No longer a kid, my man. You know what I'm saying? His name is Jeremy. I know you're on the opposite side of the table when it comes to faith. And first, define what you believe, and then let's see how we get there.
Oh man, to put a label on it, I'd have to say I'm very agnostic. I'm very okay saying I'm not sure at the moment, but I'm in a place of actively trying to search out how I feel about that in general, whether it be faith or science or aliens, whatever it is.
How'd you get there?
I grew up in the church. My whole family is like a ministry powerhouse. My grandpa's like a doctorate of theology. So I grew up very, very familiar with Christianity and in a family that was very intentional with Christianity. But they were on the stricter, more stereotypical side of things. And that definitely pushed me away initially. But when I was a teenager in high school, I ended up meeting you and my boy Zach over here, and I saw Christianity done in a way that I was not familiar with, in a way that was really, really authentic and done from a place of love. And I stand on that to this day, that it was a really, really awesome experience. But as I, graduated high school and kind of got the opportunity to work in a couple churches, work for a couple Christian organizations, I just kept finding myself really butting heads with people in leadership and like the way that they were doing things, and I kept really feeling like I was seeing past good intentions at motives that were disingenuous, and it seemed to be so consistent that it really upset me, and it made me feel like, why do the majority of people who claim Christ claim this that I come across with? I have more of a problem with the way that they do things than people who don't even profess this. And that led me to ask some pretty tough questions that I couldn't really get answers that I like to. And that kind of caused me to walk away from church in an organized sense, and kind of did my own thing for a while, and still studied the Bible on my own. And eventually just my questions and my own angers and personal, I guess you could say, if there is a God, there's some anger there that caused me to just drop it completely.
Do you think that religion or God or faith divides our country? Do you think it's one of the things it does?
Absolutely. I think it's one of the biggest things that is used to divide people in even different faiths like Christianity, Judaism, Islam. There are really beautiful things, and there's a lot of beautiful things about those faiths in themselves. But I think the human element tends to add that division.
How can we find unity amongst even something that we may, on the base, disagree with, like faith?
I think that if we took time trying to understand exactly what it is each other believed instead of what we think each other believes, I think that we would find a lot of similarities there. I think that would go a long way in general, especially if especially like leaders of different faiths could approach it from that mindset. How can we come together? How can we do the things that we're all going to do anyway, like the reaching out, the missionary stuff, like feeding the homeless? How can we work together to make that better? Because with how many Jews, Muslims, Christians there are in the world with similar ideologies, you know what I mean? The difference they could make working together is huge.
Yeah. Awesome, man. I hope you chatted up with my boy.
Word.
Love you, man.
So this piece that we're working on is about finding unity among division.
Yeah.
We have unity.
Yeah.
We have division with people that are of faith. I mean, I don't know about you, but I would venture to say that I think they're all kind of right. Like if your whatever your God is, and if that makes you a better person, no harm done.
Yeah.
Do you like?
Yeah, I think faith can be a beautiful thing, and I think it gets people through a lot of really tough situations. And I think that it inspires people to be the best versions of themselves at times. But I think that it has a flip side, and that far too often it inspires people to become the worst things.
Right. Right. It's the, if we're doing an intervention for like a coke addiction, and the person goes, well, at least I'm not doing heroin. It's like, no, we're not talking about that. We're talking about your coke addiction.
Yeah.
And that's what I think happens with Christians is they're like, well, but we do a lot of good. It's like, but there's a ton of bad.
Yeah, I like a ton of bad.
Right. And so how can we, because we have unity.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for people like us that how do we maintain boundaries while loving people that we disagree with on a fundamental level?
Yeah. I think, and I talked a little bit about this with Josh, I think a lot of it comes into there are things that you and I would agree on, like we should feed the homeless and we should protect women and children. If we made more of an effort to kind of just meet in the middle on those things, I think we could make some progress there.
What advice do you have for me?
Man, I would just say keep looking. Don't close yourself off to it. I think something that I have, and that's a hard thing to say, because I will very vocally say that I don't believe that there is a God that is particularly invested in us.
Right, with human characteristics.
I think I lean towards a creator, but not in the sense of like God loves you and pays attention to all of us. Don't let your opinions or interactions with specific people, like negative interactions, let you just go, that's a bad group of people or a bad ideology.
Would you say that losing your faith is like mourning a loss?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there is, and I question this a lot. I question what it is that I've lost. I was 20 years old and I had a very sure idea of the person I was going to be, planning a church, being a pastor, traveling around the world and blah, 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 blah. And when I look at myself in the mirror and say, I don't want to serve this God anymore, that's like me rejecting everything I've been for the last 10 years.
Your father.
Yeah, it can be. And for, people like myself who have not great experiences with our dads here on earth, God the Father was always a hard concept for me. But like, in a sense, yeah, I can see how you would feel like that. Yeah. That's a tough one, man.
And so I want to thank you both for
absolutely
you going on this journey with me.
Yeah, man.
And for you to, carving out some time.
I really appreciate you guys having time to talk to me today. That was definitely the most interesting conversation I've had in a while.
I think if this could happen more,
we can make a lot of progress.
You can make a lot of progress.
It wouldn't be bad,
right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of assumptions, like you said.
Yeah.
A lot of conversations that are just, hey, this person is this ideology, and then the media and everything just takes it and runs with it.
Yeah.
And, man, thank you guys for sitting down with me, with him, and chopping it up a bit. Again, we're on this journey. We're going to continue on this journey, and this was a pivotal part. I'm glad that you were able to lean into it. For those that are along on the ride, we're going to continue this journey from Philly to the next city, where we're going to talk probably about politics or whatever is next.
Josh reconnected with someone that used to be in his youth group many years ago. We sat down with him. His name was Jeremy, and he was my silver lining to Philadelphia. I finally, with Jeremy, felt unified and seen. And if it wasn't for that interview, I think I would have left Philly the most anxious possible. And the car ride with the boys would have been terrible. But Jeremy and I really connected because we both come from a Christian background and have left the church. And it was a breath of fresh air, to be honest.
You're required because of your job to articulate your beliefs on a daily basis. You are required as a pastor to articulate where you stand on many major topics. I am not.
Yeah.
I am able to have pretty surface level conversations the majority of the time, and then with people I trust, I can go deeper. Here I am required to stand on something and
Process out loud.
And so I appreciate being put in that situation. I will be a better person from it.
I think you've done a great job. Yeah, so we are driving out of Philly on to the next city. And I thought Philly, at least for me, opened my eyes a little bit to process. I think there's a lot of things that have done that. Conversations in the car, to seeing Jeremy, to even polling this morning. I think ultimately, I'm way more hopeful than I was when we started out this journey. So
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. I mean, this is not an easy thing, but to do.
All right, my man, here we are, processing out loud, but we're on our way, a little under 2.5 hours out. We are heading to D.C.
The nation's capital.
The nation's capital. Are we gonna get into some drama?
I hope so.
Man, are we gonna have some cigars tonight?
I hope so.
You know, I think we're gonna have fun. Tomorrow is 4th of July, and we are heading into what I anticipate a big crowd.
One of the busiest weekends of the year in the nation's capital.
In the nation's capital. Man, we hope to have lots and lots of conversations. We've been to 2 cities thus far, and I'm actually really excited that we were able to get those conversations, because I believe that we're both in a unique place to be able to go into where tomorrow we are going to tackle politics. Nobody wants to talk about it, but we're doing it.
We're doing it.
And no better place to do it than in the place of politics.
We'll see y'all there.
What's up, Wes? Where are we at today, brother?
Washington, D.C.
We are standing outside Capitol Building across the street, Supreme Court.
What day is it?
It's 4th of July, man.
July 4th.
And we are in the nation's capital. And man, we are gonna ask a lot of questions to a lot of people today about America.
I'm looking forward to getting a younger point of view here. I think that DC is filled with young entrepreneurs, young people that are professional and that have strong opinions in the nation's capital.
How would you define the word divided? Or division?
Mathematical.
Or division?
I mean, you know, if you want to elaborate politically, you'd be lying to yourself if you thought that either party didn't benefit from the massive amounts of money and pull that they have. Although Senate members cannot trade stocks, they absolutely can approve or deny certain motions that will trickle down into, you know, economies of scale that they likely understand and have analysts for. So division is mathematical because a lot of our social divide is based on inaccessibility to resources and the statistical anomaly to get rich in this country. So
I'm so glad we talked to someone young. I'm so glad that we were able to find the first person in DC was someone that lived in DC, someone that found this space important, that didn't ignore what the city is. He really articulated the importance of politics, but also how division is mathematical, how division politically is simply who you're registered to vote for, but there are action steps we can take to create unity, and that's beautiful.
Here we are, still in DC. We are upon one of the most important buildings in this city. We were just at Capitol Hill. Now we're at the White House.
It's hard to see, but it's there.
It's right there. We'll get some zoom in. I'm sure we're gonna throw some B-roll your way. We're gonna ask some people some questions about division, about our country, about politics. Follow us along, come on. Would you say that our country is divided?
Absolutely.
In what areas would you say that maybe that some of those are?
Race and income equality.
Okay.
How can we, as a country, figure out metaphorically to sit down at the table and just talk? Are there action steps we can take?
I think people really need to start putting their differences aside, and they need to realize that a person is a person. It shouldn't matter what side of the aisle you are or what your personal beliefs are. You're still an American at the end of the day, and you're still a person. And you should have that mutual respect for a person that you would want them to give you. And I think that if you could do something like that, then I think that'd go a long way.
Can I articulate to y'all why I believe we're unified? So this is what I think. I think that I'm able to walk outside on July 4th in DC and stand and talk with people that I don't know, and I don't feel threatened, I feel accepted, and that is my constant on a daily basis.
One of the probably most protected areas,
and so
I think
I think there's a narrative that is we are divided and people won't listen, but I'm finding right now y'all are listening and
Oh, no, I'm listening, but to back that up, we're from Michigan, and you see we're two different colors. We get racism all the time at home. We have people that won't even put our groceries in our cart because of the color difference. We have people that throw food out of a drive-through window into our car because we're a difference of color. So I understand what you're saying, but my husband, I'm the first brown person he's ever been with, and we're married her. So he did have your view, but now he also sees that, no, there's a difference when you have a permanent tan. There's a difference. And it has nothing to do with our personalities or what have you. It just has to do with people just don't like us because we're together.
Let me ask this. Real quick. What can you teach me then? Like, what can I learn? I just turned 30, and I obviously have not experienced.
Very young looking 30.
Thank you. What can you teach me then about my perspective and how it can be better?
Well, you seem to have a pretty good centered perspective. From my standpoint, I'm always cautious about walking up to any stranger on the street or even sparking up a conversation. I've noticed in some of my travels that sometimes you need to be a little worried about where you're walking into, which will show you maybe what you can't see sometimes.
From an outsider's perspective, there is a massive divide between like Democrats and Republicans.
Yeah.
I think that's the massive clash that we see in the Bahamas.
Okay. Would you agree, or
Yeah, but also there's a big like wealth inequality in the Bahamas and here. You can see.
what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I fully agree with her. Also, just staying here, you could also see the difference between the economy, like people who are wealthier than others, especially around here.
So we were born in England, and even just like the politics there, there's more respect between the two parties. It's not like, oh, this one's bad and this one's good, whereas in America it definitely seems to be like that way. And I think that just kind of pulls people apart, and it's quite sad to see. So I think just seeing people come together and respecting the fact that they have different opinions and different values, but also respecting the fact that they're all human, you know, like it's not a massive divide between the two.
I agree. Like even here you could see things are like, they're pretty radicalized. So yeah, just maybe. Yeah, it's definitely being treated equally and having our own opinions.
The second we got on this road in front of the White House, which is right there, it is very clear that there's division in this country. We heard it in protest, and that is something that I have to process, but I do recognize that my mind has been changed. There is division.
Here's what I think. I think there is a common ground. As I shared with someone else, I believe that there are polars, opposites, there are extremes. We saw some extremists today. And it's well within their constitutional right to be able to do that. And although we may disagree with a lot of them and a lot of things, the reality is
that today is July 4th. And that people fought for the freedom for them to be able to do that.
That's right. And so we are here, and I still think that there is a middle group of people that have a lot of common similarities, and I think that the media and just other outlets paint those as the majority, and so I think that we're finding the middle ground, aren't we?
Leaving DC, ironically, it seems as if the media, whoever's at the top controlling, takes those extreme radicals and paints that as the majority. I don't believe that that's the majority. That's what's changing in me, is that I believe that there is a common ground. And I think that most of America might not be divided. I hope that you've watched and you've realized maybe our world is divided, but that doesn't mean that you have to be.
I'm a different person than I was when I started this journey. It's going to take some time to process what that means. I can't tell you exactly what that means right now, but I can tell you that it is true.